the three fundamental principles from the fundamentals of Islam, supported by evidences from the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. Then to continue with Thalathatul Usul, the three principles of Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah, with the explanation of Shaykh Salih al-Fawzan hafidhahullah. Then we reached the second, and we just began the second of the three initial treatises which the author brings some important things, three important treatises to start the book with, before he actually gets into the main topic of the book, into the actual main three principles. So, the second of them beginning in the section that we had last time, اعلم رحمك الله أنه يجب على كل مسلم ومسلمة تعلم هذه المسائل الثلاث والعمل بهن. Know, may Allah have mercy upon you, that it is obligatory upon every male and female Muslim to learn these three matters and to act upon them. So the first treatise, the first initial treatise he brought was four matters which it is obligatory for us to learn, and he mentioned the four of them being knowledge and action upon it and calling to it and having patience upon it, and he mentioned the evidence, Surah Al-Asr, and he mentioned a quote from Imam al-Shafi'i and a quote from Imam al-Bukhari. Then he mentions the second treatise, know, may Allah have mercy upon you, that it is obligatory upon every male and female Muslim to learn these three matters and to act upon them. So that's what the point we reached. And for that, then in the Lebanese edition, which some of us have, it's on page 42, and in the Egyptian edition, it's on a different page. And for this section here, the first of these three matters, Shaykh al-Fawzan, before the first of these three matters, Shaykh al-Fawzan brings a heading. Al-Imanu bi-anna Allah khalaqana wa razaqana wa lam yatrukna hamalan. Iman, true faith, that Allah created us and gave us rizq, and gave us provision, and did not leave us hamalan, did not leave us without a purpose. So then after the heading, which is obviously the heading being additional to the text, a title for this section, he mentions the quote of the Imam, the main text, the saying of the Imam, Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah, mentioned the first of these three matters which is obligatory upon every male and female Muslim to learn and act upon. Al-Ula anna Allah khalaqana wa razaqana wa lam yatrukna hamalan. The first is that Allah created us and gave us provision and did not leave us without a purpose. Shaykh al-Fawzan said in his explanation, his saying, Al-Ula anna Allah khalaqana, his saying, the first, is that Allah created us. Meaning, He produced us from Al-Adam. He produced us from non-existence. So before we were created, we were nothing. Just as He, the Most High, said, هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا. Surah Al-Insan, the 76th surah, the first ayah. With the explanation, has there not come upon man a time period when he was nothing worthy of mention. Then Shaykh al-Fawzan quotes a second evidence. He said, and he, the one free of all imperfections, said, قَالَ كَذَلِكَ قَالَ رَبُّكَ هُوَ عَلَيَّ هَيِّنٌ وَقَدْ خَلَقْتُكَ مِنْ قَبْلُ وَلَمْ تَكُ شَيْئًا. Surah Maryam, the 19th Surah, Ayah 9. With the explanation, he said, that is the case. However, your Lord has said, it is easy for me, and I have already created you before when you were nothing. Shaykh al-Fawzan said, man, before he was created, was nothing. And the one who brought him into existence and created him is Allah, the mighty and majestic. He, the Most High, said, أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ. Surah At-Tur, 52nd Surah, Ayah 35. With the explanation, were they brought into existence without any creator? Or are they themselves their own creators? This explanation, this tafsir, being taken from Ibn Kathir. There's some difference amongst the people of tafsir about the meaning of the first phrase, أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ. And some of the explainers mention meaning, do they claim that they are created without any fathers and forefathers, or the like? And Ibn Kathir mentions the view that the explanation is, were they brought into existence without any creator? Or are they themselves their own creators? Shaykh al-Fawzan then said, his saying, وَرَزَقَنَا, and he gave us provision, he gave us rizq. Shaykh al-Fawzan said, since we need rizq, we need provision, we need food and drink and clothing and habitations, places to live, and transport and requirements. Then he, the perfect, he knew our needs. So therefore he made subservient for us whatever is in the heavens and the earth. All of it for our welfare, in order for us to be able to remain alive, and in order for us to use that to help us upon what we were created for, in order to help us upon that for which we were created, the purpose for which we were created, which is ibadatullah, which is the worship of Allah, the Perfect and Most High. So Shaykh al-Fawzan mentions two reasons there for everything being made subservient for us, for those two purposes. Firstly, so that we'll be able to remain alive, and secondly, so that we can use those things that have been made subservient for us for our purpose, for the purpose which we are created for, which is to worship Allah, the Perfect and Most High. Then he said, his saying, وَلَمْ يَتْرُكْنَا hamalan, and he did not leave us hamalan, without purpose. Shaykh al-Fawzan explains this word. He said, al-hamal, with a ha, al-hamal, it means something which is neglected, muhmal, and abandoned, matruk. It means something which is neglected and abandoned, which no one cares about. So Allah created us and gave us provision for a wise purpose, for a hikmah. Allah created us and gave us provision for a wise purpose. He did not create us abathan, in vain, nor sudan, nor without purpose. He, the Most High, said, أَفَحَسِبْتُمْ أَنَّمَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ عَبَثًا وَأَنَّكُمْ إِلَيْنَا لَا تُرْجَعُونَ. Surah Al-Mu'minun, the 23rd Surah, Ayah 115, with the explanation. Do you think that you were created uselessly and that you will not be returned to us? Then Shaykh al-Fawzan said, quoting further evidence, and he, the Perfect, said, أَيَحْسَبُ الْإِنسَانُ أَن يُتْرَكَ سُدًى أَلَمْ يَكُنْ نُطْفَةً مِّن مَّنِيٍّ يُمْنَى ثُمَّ كَانَ عَلَقَةً فَخَلَقَ فَسَوَّى. Surah Al-Qiyamah, the 75th Surah, ayahs 36 and 37, or rather ayahs 36 to 38, 3 ayahs. With the explanation, does man think that he will be left without any duties? Was he not previously a drop of semen emitted? Then he became a clot. Then Allah created and fashioned him as a human in due proportion. And as a side point on the first ayah, أَيَحْسَبُ الْإِنسَانُ أَن يُتْرَكَ سُدًى, does man think, with the explanation, and does man think that he will be left suda? And this word suda, At-Tabari reports from Mujahid, the famous tabi'i, famous mufassir and student of Ibn Abbas, radiallahu anhuma, that Mujahid said about this word suda here in the ayah, la yu'mar wa la yunha. Does he think he'll be left with not being commanded with anything and not being forbidden from anything? Then Shaykh al-Fawzan, back to the explanation, Shaykh al-Fawzan quotes another ayah as proof. He said, and he said, وَمَا خَلَقْنَا السَّمَاءَ وَالْأَرْضَ وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا بَاطِلًا ذَلِكَ ظَنُّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فَوَيْلٌ لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنَ النَّارِ. Surah Sad, the 38th Surah, ayah 27, with the explanation, and we did not create the heavens and the earth and whatever is between them without purpose. That is the assumption of those who disbelieve. So woe to those who disbelieve from the fire. Shaykh al-Fawzan then said, Allah only created us and created these provisions for us and these faculties لِحِكْمَةٍ عَظِيمَةٍ وَغَايَةٍ جَلِيلَةٍ. Allah only created us and created these provisions for us and these faculties for a tremendous wisdom and a tremendous purpose. And it is that we should worship Him, He the Perfect and Most High. And He did not create us like cattle, which were created for the welfare of the servants. Then they will die and pass away, because they are not mukallafa, because they are not duty bound. They don't have any duties put upon them, cattle. They were not commanded and they were not forbidden. So mankind is not like that. We are not created the same as cattle. The Shaykh said, rather He created us li'ibadatihi. He created us for His worship. Just as He the Most High said, then he quotes the ayahs with the famous evidence for the purpose of the creation of mankind. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ مَا أُرِيدُ مِنْهُمْ مِنْ رِزْقٍ وَمَا أُرِيدُ أَنْ يُطْعِمُونَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الرَّزَّاقُ ذُو الْقُوَّةِ الْمَتِينَ. Surah Al-Dhariyat, the 51st Surah, ayahs 56 to 58, with the explanation, and I did not create jinn and mankind except to worship me alone. I do not desire from them any provision, and I do not want that they should feed me. Indeed, Allah, He is the great provider, the possessor of tremendous power, the strong. Shaykh al-Fawzan said, and He did not create us just for the life of this world, that we should live in it and roam around freely and make merry, and eat and drink, and make ourselves at home in it, and that there is nothing after it. Rather, life is a mazra'ah, life is a planting ground and a marketplace for the next life, so that we should equip ourselves in it with righteous deeds, al-a'mal as-salihah. That this life, Shaykh mentioned two things that this life is like. This life is a planting ground, somewhere where you plant what's going to grow for you. And like a marketplace where you buy and sell something good or something not, something evil, something bad. So the Shaykh said this life is like a planting ground and a marketplace for the next life, so that we should equip ourselves in it with righteous deeds. Then we will die and move on from it. Then we will be resurrected. Then we will be taken account of, and we will be recompensed in accordance with our deeds. This is the purpose behind the creation of the jinn and mankind. And the proof for that is many ayahs which prove the ba'ath, the raising to life after death, and al-nushur, the resurrection, and al-jaza, the recompensing, and al-hisab, the reckoning. And the aql, the intellect, proves this. So Shaykh mentioned two proofs for this. It's proven in many texts, many ayahs, and it's also proven secondly by the intellect. Then he mentions what is this intellectual proof for this. That mankind, that this life leads on to the next life, and that we're rewarded or punished in accordance with what we did in this life. So Shaykh mentioned the many ayahs which prove this. Then he mentioned, and this is also proven by the aql, by the intellect. Then he explains that. Because it would not befit the hikmah, it would not befit the wisdom of Allah, the Perfect and Most High, that He should create this amazing creation, and that He should subject this creation to the descendants of Adam, and then just leave them to die and pass away without any result, without any natija, without any result. This would be abath. This would be futile play. So the results of those deeds, the Shaykh said, so the results of these deeds must certainly appear in the next abode. I mean, whatever mankind does in this life, from good or bad, it must certainly appear in the next life. And therefore, there can be from the people, the Shaykh further explains this same point, and therefore there can be from the people those who spend their whole lives in the worship of Allah and in obedience to Him. And yet this person, is in poverty and is needy. And maybe he is one who is oppressed and hard pressed and who suffers difficulty. And he does not attain anything from the reward of his actions in this world. And vice versa, the opposite as well can be the case. That from the people, there are those who, or there can be a person who is an unbeliever, a kafir, an evil atheist, who roams around as he wishes and makes merry in this life. He enjoys a life of luxury, and he is given whatever he desires. And he commits that which Allah has made forbidden. And he oppresses the servants, he oppresses the people, and he transgresses against them. And he devours their wealth. and he kills people without any right, and he overcomes and he behaves tyrannically, and then he dies upon that condition. He has not been struck by anything from punishment. So Shaykh mentions these two opposite cases that can happen. You find the first person who worships Allah throughout his life, is obedient to Allah throughout his life, and yet is in poverty, need. He doesn't receive anything from the reward for his deeds in this life. And the opposite case, the unbeliever, the rejecter of his Lord, who does that which Allah has forbidden, and to the end of what the Shaykh mentioned about him, and he doesn't suffer any punishment in this life for it. So then the Shaykh says, does it befit the adl, does it befit the justice of Allah the Perfect and Most High, and His hikmah and His wisdom, that He should leave this obedient person without any reward, and that He should leave this unbeliever without any recompense? This does not befit His justice, He the Perfect and Most High. So there the Shaykh is mentioning the intellectual proof for this. Then he said, and therefore he has made the next life, the next abode, to recompense this doer of good for the good which he did, and this doer of evil for the evil which he did. So in it, the fruits of deeds will become apparent in the next life. So this world, this dunya, this world is an abode of action. But as for the hereafter, then it is an abode of jaza, of recompense, either Jannah, either paradise, or nar, or the fire. And He did not leave us hamalan, without purpose, as is thought by the atheists and the duhriyun, as is the thought of the malahida, the atheists and the duhriyun, those people who think, as it follows in the ayah which follows, duhriyun, those who think that death is the end of us. And the Shaykh quotes the ayah about these people. He said, He the Most High said, وَقَالُوا مَا هِيَ إِلَّا حَيَاتُنَا الدُّنْيَا نَمُوتُ وَنَحْيَا وَمَا يُهْلِكُنَا إِلَّا الدَّهْرُ وَمَا لَهُمْ بِذَلِكَ مِنْ عِلْمٍ إِنْهُمْ إِلَّا يَظُنُّونَ. Surah Al-Jathiyah, the 45th surah, ayah 24. With the explanation, and they say, there is no life except our life in this world. We die and our children live, and nothing brings an end to us except time. And they do not have certain knowledge, rather they just surmise, they just think. Shaykh Fawzan said, this is the saying of the malahida, this is the saying of the atheists, those who do not believe in the return to life and the resurrection. Then Shaykh al-Fawzan mentions a refutation of them. He said, and Allah the Mighty and Majestic rebutted them. So He said, أَفَنَجْعَلُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ كَالْمُجْرِمِينَ مَا لَكُمْ كَيْفَ تَحْكُمُونَ. Surah Al-Qalam, 68th surah, ayahs 35 to 36. With the explanation, shall we make the Muslims like the criminals? Shall we make the Muslims like the criminals? Just the same. What is wrong with you? How do you judge? Again, as a side point here, At-Tabari mentions in his tafsir, explaining what is meant here by the al-Muslimun, what's meant by the Muslims, and the mujrimeen, the criminals. Shaykh At-Tabari mentioned, Ya rahmakallah, the Muslims, those who submitted in obedience to me, and humbled themselves to me in worship, and submit to my commands and prohibitions. Are they to be treated like the mujrimeen, like the criminals? Again, At-Tabari mentioned as a side point, those who committed sins performed acts of disobedience, and contradicted my commands and prohibitions. Then Shaykh Fawzan quotes a second proof, a second ayah. He said, and He the Most High said, أم حسب الذين اجترحوا السيئات أن نجعلهم كالذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات سواء محياهم ومماتهم ساء ما يحكمون. ساء ما يحكمون. Surah Al-Jathiyah, the same surah, ayah 21. With the explanation, do those who commit evil deeds think that we will treat them just the same as those who truly believe and work righteous deeds, the same in their life and after their deaths? What an evil judgment they make. And then Shaykh Fawzan quotes his further evidence on the same point. The last evidence he quotes on this point, he said, and He the Most High said, أم نجعل الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات كالمفسدين في الأرض أم نجعل المتقين كالفجار. Surah Sad, the 38th surah, ayah 28. With the explanation, or shall we make those who truly believe and work righteous deeds like those who cause corruption upon the earth? Or shall we treat those who are dutiful to Allah just like the wicked unbelievers? That's where Shaykh Fawzan then said, this is not possible, and this will never be the case. I mean, those who behave in that way in this life, those who are true believers and work righteous deeds in this life, and the opposite case, those who disbelieve in Allah and commit that which is forbidden, they will never be treated the same. Then the Imam, then comes the saying of the author, Shaykh al-Islam, Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, rahimahullah, he continued, so having just said, Al-ula anna Allah khalaqana wa razaqana wa lam yatrukna hamalan, bal arsala ilayna rasula. Having just said that Allah, the first matter, is that Allah created us and gave us provision and did not leave us without a purpose. Then he said, rather, He sent a messenger to us. Rather, He sent a messenger to us. Bal arsala ilayna rasula. Shaykh Fawzan said in explanation, since it is the case that we may not carry out ibadah, worship, based upon what we think is good, nor upon taqleed, nor upon blindly following so-and-so and so-and-so from the people. I mean, this is the case. This is a fact. That we are not allowed to perform worship of Allah based upon what we ourselves just think is good. Or that somebody so-and-so said, or so-and-so said. So the Shaykh says, since this is the case, that we may not carry out ibadah worship based upon what we think is good, nor upon blindly following so-and-so from the people, then therefore Allah sent to us messengers, rusulan, to make clear to us how we are to worship Him. Because acts of worship are tawqifiyya. Acts of worship are tawqifiyya, dependent upon text. It is not permissible that Allah be worshipped except with that which He has legislated. Obviously, contrary to the Christians and their like, those who worship Allah upon ignorance, just as they feel they want to worship Allah, they worship Him as they wish, not as He wishes to be worshipped. So Shaykh made the point, acts of worship are tawqifiyya, are dependent upon text. It is not permissible that Allah be worshipped except with that which He has legislated. Then he said, so acts of worship are tawqifiyya. They are restricted to text, to that which the messengers, alayhimus salatu wassalam, came with. So the wisdom behind the sending of the messengers is that they should make clear to the people how they are to worship their Lord, and for them to forbid them from shirk, from association of others along with Allah, and from kufr, from disbelief in Allah the Mighty and Majestic. This is the duty of the messengers, alayhimus salatu wassalam. And therefore he, alayhi salatu wassalam, said, and he quotes the saying of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, for this reason he said, Man amila amalan laysa alayhi amruna fahuwa rad. Whoever does an action which our affair is not in accordance with, then it will be rejected. In a footnote they mention its checking has proceeded. And we had earlier in the book that this hadith is reported by this hadith is mentioned by Al-Bukhari in disconnected form without a connected chain as hadith number 7350 in the book of I'tisam, clinging to the book and the Sunnah, chapter 20. And the hadith is reported by Muslim with a fully connected chain from a hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha. That's with this particular wording, and as we heard, and there is a second wording for the hadith, which both of them report with connected chain. Then Shaykh al-Fawzan said, so ibadah, worship, is tawqifiyya, is dependent upon text. And bid'ah, innovations, are rejected. And baseless superstitions and ideas are rejected. And taqleedul a'ma, and blind following, is rejected. Acts of worship are not taken except from the Sharia, from the revealed law, which the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam came with. Then Shaykh al-Fawzan said, his saying, قَوْلُهُ بَلْ أَرْسَلَ إِلَيْنَا رَسُولًا, his saying, rather he sent to us a messenger. Shaykh al-Fawzan said, he is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the khatam, the seal, the last one of the prophets. He sent him to make clear to us why we were created. Or rather, he said, he sent him to make clear to us why we were created. Or why he created us, either of those. And to make clear to us how we are to worship Allah the Mighty and Majestic, and to forbid us from shirk and kufr, unbelief, and from sins, ma'asi. From shirk, associating others with Allah, and from kufr, from unbelief, and from al-ma'asi, and from sins. This was the duty of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he clearly conveyed the message, and he fulfilled the trust which was given to him, and he gave sincere advice to the nation, alayhi salatu wassalam. And he explained fully and made clear, and he left us upon al-mahajjatul bayda. He left us upon a clear white ground. Its night is just the same as its day. No one deviates away from it except one who is destroyed. And this is just as is in his saying, He the Most High, Al-Yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakum al-Islam dina. Surah Al-Ma'idah, the 5th surah, ayah 3. With the explanation, this day have I completed your religion for you, and perfected my favor upon you, and am pleased for you with Islam as your religion. And that's where we'll end today. And then this same point, this first point here, it carries on. فَمَنْ أَطَاعَهُ دَخَلَ الْجَنَّةِ وَمَنْ عَصَاهُ دَخَلَ النَّارِ. And then the Shaykh al-Islam gives the evidence. So whoever obeys him, this messenger, will enter paradise, and whoever disobeys him will enter the fire. And the evidence and the text carries on. But we'll leave it there till next time, inshaAllah. Any points of clarification? just as an encouragement, if there are any of those who have not memorized the book, who wish to memorize or are hoping to memorize the book as we go along, let's get into the point now. If you've not started now, it's going to get difficult. We've reached a point now you could just about manage to make up now. If you leave it any longer, it'll become difficult. Wallahu a'lam. The length of the text. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك جزاك الله خير